B-Jams.
All right.
So get ready because we are diving into some seriously messy internet drama today.
Oh, this is going to be good.
You guys have sent in a treasure trove of Kiwi Farms forum posts
Oh, a Kiwi Farms.
all about Andy Warski.
I love it.
We're talking about multiple aliases, failed ventures, and a lot of, let's just say, colorful commentary.
Yeah, they don't hold back.
From the forum users.
Not at all, no.
Or as Willie paints a picture.
It really does. It feels like an anti-fan club.
Yes.
Gone wild.
Absolutely.
And like we said, they do not hold back.
Nope.
They paint a pretty brutal picture of the guy using terms like stuttering retard and avid abortionist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a very specific online community, you know, Kiwi Farms.
Yeah.
A very specific perspective on Andy, I would say.
Yeah.
And their language often is very harsh.
Yeah.
Even dehumanizing, reflecting a deep-seated dislike for the man.
And speaking of harsh, the forum seems to be particularly obsessed.
Oh, yeah.
With his boxing match against Salt Poppy.
I mean, how could you not be?
Right. It's like a constant source of amusement.
Yeah.
For them, reliving that knockout in under 30 seconds.
It's beautiful. It's art.
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
And they use humor as a weapon.
Yes.
Constantly mocking his failures and shortcomings.
It's a very common form of online shaming.
Oh, absolutely.
That has become quite prevalent on platforms like Kiwi Farms.
Yeah.
Where else are you going to go?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Reddit. No, they're soft over there.
And speaking of shaming,
okay,
the thread also delves into some pretty sensitive topics, like Andy's decision to force his ex-girlfriend to have an abortion.
Oh, right.
So he could continue to, in their words, sniff boxed wine.
Wow, that's a disturbing example of how personal information can be weaponized online.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when it comes to sensitive topics like abortion.
Right.
The forum users clearly revel in exposing Andy's flaws and using them against him.
It's not just his personal life.
No.
That's fair game.
Right.
They also dissect his failed attempts at online ventures, like that disastrous live stream where he tried to expose an alleged trafficking ring.
Oh, the CP stream.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just completely fumbled it.
Not good. Not a good look.
So we've got the knockout, the abortion, the failed CP sting.
He's got quite the resume.
What else are these forum users digging up?
Well, they seem to have a particular interest in Andy's relationships. Or lack thereof.
Right.
The thread is full of references to burned bridges.
Oh, yeah?
With various individuals, including figures like May, Gator, Bibble, Dingo, Rand, and even Meadowcore.
Wow.
It's like a running tally of all the people he's alienated over the years.
It really is.
It's impressive, actually, if you think about it.
They make it sound like he's incapable of maintaining any kind of meaningful relationship.
I mean, I guess we're only getting one side of the story, though, right?
Right.
We have to keep that in mind.
True.
It is Kiwi Farms.
But even taking that into account, it's clear that Andy is a polarizing figure online.
Oh, for sure.
He seems to attract drama and conflict wherever he goes.
That's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
It really is.
We're seeing how online communities can create and shape narratives around individuals, often amplifying their flaws and turning them into objects of ridicule.
It's like a digital gladiatorial arena where reputations are made.
Yes.
And broken in the blink of an eye.
Absolutely. And in Andy's case, it seems like the crowd is firmly against him.
It seems that way.
You know, on the topic of being against him, there's a lot of speculation in the thread about a potential showdown between Andy and another internet figure, Null.
Oh,
apparently there's some bad blood brewing between them.
I can imagine.
And they seem to just relish the idea of these two clashing, placing bets on who will come out on top.
Oh, for sure.
Highlights the entertainment value that these online communities derive from conflict and drama. You know, they're not just documenting these feuds. They're actively rooting for them to escalate.
It's almost like a reality show.
It is.
But with real-life consequences.
Which makes it all the more entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of reality shows, there's even a suggestion in the thread for a sex tape featuring Andy and Ethan Ralph.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
I mean, that detail's obviously intended as a joke.
Right.
But it speaks to the lengths that these users will go to humiliate and degrade their target.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing is off limits in their pursuit of entertainment.
So we've got feuds, knockouts, alleged sex tapes.
It's all here.
Is there anything else these Kiwi Farms users are obsessed with?
Well, there seems to be a particular fascination with Andy's relationship with PPP,
Ah,
also known as Paul Peterson.
right, PPP.
The thread hints that this relationship could lead to even more conflict
Oh, great.
with other figures like Kraut and T.
Buckle up. This is just the beginning.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Oh, I'm sure.
What's fascinating to me is how these forum users piece together narratives from seemingly disparate events.
Right?
Like amateur detectives,
Yeah.
weaving a complex web of connections and motivations,
Mm-hmm.
all with the goal of portraying Andy in the most negative light possible.
It's like they're building a case against him,
They are.
brick by brick,
Uh-huh.
using every embarrassing detail, every failed venture,
Yeah.
every awkward interaction as evidence.
Yep.
And they're not afraid to add their own commentary and interpretations,
Of course not.
often with a healthy dose of sarcasm and ridicule.
No. They have to, they got to keep themselves entertained.
It's a reminder that in the world of online forums,
Mm-hmm.
perception often trumps reality.
Yes.
And once a particular narrative takes hold,
Yep.
it can be incredibly difficult to shake off.
That is the internet, my friend.
That is the internet.
That is the internet.
So we've talked about Andy's feuds, his boxing career, his alleged sex tape, and his relationship with PPP.
It's a lot.
What else does this Kiwi Farms thread reveal about the man?
Well, one thing that stands out is their focus on Andy's tendency to overshare.
Okay.
They point to countless examples of him revealing personal details online, often to his detriment.
It's like he doesn't understand the concept of TMI,
Too much information.
too much information.
Yeah.
He seems to blurt out whatever's on his mind
Uh-huh.
without considering the potential consequences.
Yeah, and in the hands of these Kiwi Farms users, those careless words become ammunition.
Oh, yeah.
They use them to paint him as foolish,
Hmm.
reckless, and even dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. It's a good reminder that in the digital age,
Mm-hmm.
anything you say or do online can and will be used against you.
Oh, yeah, the internet is forever.
It is.
Beautiful.
And in Andy's case, there's a whole army of internet sleuths dedicated to digging up his dirt.
Dedicated researchers.
Yes, exactly.
I like it.
Dedicated researchers. Doing the Lord's work.
And they're not afraid to get creative with their insults and mockery.
No, of course not. They've even come up with a whole lexicon of nicknames and catchphrases specifically designed to humiliate Andy.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like they're having a competition
Mm-hmm.
to see who can come up with the most cutting remark, the most devastating put down.
Right.
And it all feeds into this culture of online cruelty that's become so pervasive.
Right, yeah.
It's a reminder that behind the anonymity of the internet,
Yeah,
there are real people with real emotions,
absolutely.
and their words can have real-world consequences.
So as we continue our deep dive into this Kiwi Farms thread,
Okay.
let's keep in mind the power dynamics at play.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing how a group of anonymous users can collectively wield immense power
Yes.
over an individual, shaping their online reputation and potentially impacting their real life.
Yeah, it's a cautionary tale.
It
As
is.
for anyone who engages in online discourse,
Right.
a reminder that the internet can be a double-edged sword.
And in Andy's case, it seems like that sword is being used to cut him down at every turn.
At every turn.
At every turn. It's really something,
Yeah,
The sheer volume of information they've compiled on Andy,
it's a lot.
they've documented everything.
Mm-hmm.
From his failed business ventures
Uh-huh.
to his most embarrassing online meltdown.
Yeah, it's almost like they're keeping
Yeah.
a running tally of all his mistakes and missteps.
Like a scorecard.
Right.
And they don't just present the facts.
No.
They add their own commentary, of course, often with a heavy dose of sarcasm and ridicule.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a form of online character assassination, really.
Yeah, it is.
They're constructing a narrative of Andy as a
Mhm.
bumbling, incompetent fool,
Hmm.
incapable of learning from his mistakes.
Yeah. And they seem to take a perverse pleasure
Oh, absolutely.
in his humiliation.
It's like blood sport for them.
It really is.
Like watching a man get gored by a bull
Yeah.
over and over and over.
It speaks to a darker side of online culture.
Mm-hmm.
This fascination with watching people fail,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a modern-day gladiatorial arena.
It is a coliseum
Why?
where the crowd cheers for the downfall of the loser.
And in Andy's case, it seems like he's constantly providing them
Yeah.
with fresh material.
Fresh meat
Yes.
for their mockery.
For their mockery, he's become a caricature of himself.
Oh, totally.
A walking punchline.
Yep, a cautionary tale
Right.
for all of us.
But amidst all the negativity,
Okay.
there are glimpses of humanity, even empathy, in the thread.
Oh, interesting.
For example, they discuss his relationship with his dog with a surprising amount of tenderness.
So they're not totally heartless?
It seems not.
Yeah.
It's like they see his affection
Yeah.
for his pet as a redeeming quality.
Okay.
A sign that maybe he's not a complete monster after all.
So there's hope.
Maybe a sliver. Yeah,
A sliver of hope.
a sliver of hope.
A glimmer in the darkness.
It's a reminder that even the most vilified individuals have aspects to their lives that are relatable, even endearing.
For sure.
And it's something that often gets lost in the online frenzy to tear people down.
Well, that's the internet for you.
That is the internet.
Nuance,
Right.
black and white thinking,
Yep.
tribalism.
Speaking of tearing people down,
Okay.
the thread also delves into Andy's relationship with his audience.
Oh, right.
They seem to have a particular fascination with his most devoted fans.
His apologists,
Yeah.
the ones who defend him,
Right.
no matter what.
Yeah, they use terms like fanboys and white knights to describe these individuals, implying that their loyalty is misplaced and bordering on delusion.
I mean, I guess to a certain extent they have to be delusional, right?
To a degree, yeah.
To defend a man like this.
They dissect their comments, analyze their motivations,
Yeah.
and often mock their blind devotion.
Yeah, it's like they're studying a cult.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. It highlights the complex dynamics between online personalities
Yes.
and their fans.
It's a very strange, almost parasitic relationship.
It is.
Yeah.
These relationships can be intense, even parasitic,
Yeah.
with both sides feeding off each other's attention and validation.
And in Andy's case, it seems like that relationship is particularly unhealthy.
It does seem that way.
He seems to encourage the drama and conflict, knowing that it will keep his fans engaged and entertained.
Like throwing chum in the water.
Yes, exactly, creating a feeding frenzy.
Right.
It's a cynical strategy, but it's one that seems to be working for him.
It does.
At least in the short term, he's built a following based on outrage and controversy, and his fans seem to be more than willing to play along.
Oh, yeah.
But what happens when the drama fades?
Right.
What happens when the outrage subsides?
That's a good question.
Will those fans still be there?
Right?
Or will they move on to the next train wreck,
Right, yeah.
the next online personality,
Yeah.
who's willing to provide them with their daily dose of chaos?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And it's one that only time will answer.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
But for now, Andy seems content to ride this wave of negativity and attention, even if it ultimately leads to his own downfall.
So we've talked about Andy's feuds, his failures, his fans, and the perverse pleasure that these Kiwi Farms users take in his humiliation.
Oh, okay.
But what are the ethical implications of all this?
That's a good point. You know, while it's easy to get caught up in the entertainment value of this online drama, we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that real people are being affected.
Right, yeah.
Andy's reputation is being tarnished, his relationships are being strained,
Right.
and his mental health is likely taking a toll.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And all for the amusement of a group of anonymous online users.
It really makes you think, huh?
It does. You know, it's a reminder that the internet can be a cruel and unforgiving place, especially for those who find themselves in the crosshairs of a dedicated hate mob.
Yeah,
And it
absolutely.
raises important questions
It does.
about the boundaries of online discourse, the responsibility of platforms to protect their users,
Right,
and the need for greater empathy and compassion in the digital age.
for sure.
We can't just dismiss this as harmless entertainment
Right.
or internet drama.
Right,
There are real-world consequences
there are.
to this kind of online harassment and bullying.
So as we continue our deep dive into this Kiwi Farms thread,
Okay.
let's keep those ethical considerations in mind.
Yeah,
Let's not lose sight of the human cost of this online spectacle,
for sure.
even as we try to understand the motivations and dynamics that drive it.
Well said.
Right.
Now, before we move on to the next section,
Okay.
I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Okay.
The allegation of a sex tape involving Andy and Ethan Ruff.
Ah, yes, the infamous sex tape rumor.
It's clearly a source of amusement for these forum users. Oh, yeah.
But it's important to remember that this is a serious allegation
Yeah.
with potentially serious consequences.
Yeah. We shouldn't trivialize or sensationalize something like this,
Right.
even in the context of online gossip and drama.
And it raises important questions about consent, privacy, and the ethical boundaries of online content creation and sharing.
It also highlights the dangers of spreading rumors and misinformation online, even if these allegations are false. The damage to Andy's reputation could be significant.
It could follow him for the rest of his life.
So let's proceed with caution and sensitivity as we explored this particular aspect of the thread.
Okay.
We need to be mindful
Yeah.
of the potential harm that can be caused by spreading unverified information.
And we need to remember that behind the screen names
Right.
and avatars, there are real people
Absolutely.
with real lives and real feelings.
For sure.
Let's not contribute to the culture of online cruelty.
That's already causing so much pain and suffering.
Well said.
All right, with that in mind,
Okay,
let's dive into the next section of the thread,
let's do it.
which focuses on Andy's tendency to overshare personal information online.
This is where the foreign users really go to town,
They do.
dissecting every awkward anecdote,
Mm.
every embarrassing confession,
Yeah.
every ill-conceived rant that Andy has ever posted online.
Every unhinged tirade.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's like they're combing through his digital history,
Uh-huh.
looking for any scrap of information
Yeah.
that can be used to paint him in the most negative light possible.
They're like digital archaeologists.
Yes.
Uncovering the fossils
Exactly.
of Andy's past transgressions.
And they're not afraid to get creative.
No.
They've developed a whole lexicon of nicknames and insults.
They have a whole language.
They do.
Specifically designed to humiliate and degrade Andy.
Right. It's a reminder that in the world of online forums, context is often irrelevant.
It doesn't matter.
It does not.
Facts are malleable.
Exactly.
Truth is subjective.
Yeah.
Perception is reality.
A single out-of-context quote.
Yeah.
A single ill-advised joke can be twisted and manipulated
Oh, yeah.
to fit whatever narrative these users are trying to construct.
And they are masters of manipulation.
They are masters of the internet.
Spin doctors of the highest order.
And once that narrative takes hold,
Yeah.
it can be incredibly difficult to shake off.
So as we delve into this section of the thread, let's keep in mind the power of selective editing and the dangers of taking things out of context.
Right.
Let's try to see beyond the mockery and the ridicule
Okay.
and understand the larger forces at play.
Let's also consider the psychological factors
Okay.
that might be contributing to Andy's tendency to overshare.
Interesting, like what?
Is it a need for attention,
Could be.
a lack of self-awareness,
Maybe.
or something else entirely?
Possibly.
These are complex questions,
They are.
and there are no easy answers.
Ugh.
But by exploring them,
Yeah.
we can gain a deeper understanding of the dynamics that drive online behavior
Okay.
and the often unseen consequences
Yeah.
of our digital actions.
It's a good reminder
It is.
that we're all just one bad tweet away
Yes.
from becoming the next Andy Warski.
Okay, so let's take a closer look at some specific examples of Andy's oversharing and see what insights we can glean from them.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
What are some of the most cringeworthy moments
Oh, boy.
that these forum users have highlighted?
Well, there's the time he accidentally revealed his home address during a live stream,
Oh, no.
leading to a barrage of harassment from his detractors.
Oops. Not exactly a smart move in the age of doxing and swatting.
Not at all.
Then there's the infamous boxed wine incident
Oh, yes.
where he drunkenly confessed to forcing his ex-girlfriend to have an abortion
Right.
so he could continue his hard partying lifestyle.
Classic Andy.
Classic Andy.
Yeah, that one definitely didn't win him any sympathy points.
No, it did not.
It's a stark reminder that what might seem like a harmless anecdote or confession in the moment
Right.
can have serious consequences when it's broadcast to the world.
The internet is forever.
The internet is forever.
And then there are the countless examples of him making offensive or insensitive remarks.
Oh, yeah, he's got a real knack for that.
He does.
Often without realizing the gravity of his words.
It's like he's completely oblivious to the potential impact of his words,
Mm-hmm.
or perhaps he simply doesn't care.
I think it's a little bit of both.
It's probably a bit of both.
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure.
But what's clear is that this pattern of oversharing has made him a prime target
Oh, yeah.
for ridicule and criticism from these Kiwi Farms users.
They're like vultures circling overhead,
Oh.
waiting for him to make his next mistake
Mm.
so they can swoop in and feast on his misfortune.
It's the circle of life
It really is.
in the internet jungle.
And they're not just observing.
No.
They're actively encouraging his self-destruction.
They're poking the bear.
Yes.
They're prodding him. They're baiting him. They're pushing his buttons,
Yep.
knowing that he'll eventually snap
Right.
and give them the content they crave.
It's a twisted game.
It is a game.
And it's one that Andy seems to be losing.
But it's not just about Andy, though, is it?
No, it's not.
This dynamic plays out countless times every day across the internet.
Oh, yeah?
People are constantly oversharing, often without realizing the potential consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always an audience eager to exploit their vulnerabilities,
Right.
to amplify their mistakes,
Yep.
and to profit from their pain.
So what can we learn from all this?
That's a good question.
What can we do to protect ourselves
Mm-hmm.
from the dangers of oversharing and online exploitation?
Well, I think it starts with awareness.
Okay.
We need to be more mindful of what we share online, more conscious of the potential audience,
Yeah.
and more cautious about trusting strangers.
Absolutely.
We also need to be more critical of the information we consume online.
Oh, for sure.
Don't just believe everything you read or see.
Right.
Verify sources, consider multiple perspectives, and be wary of narratives that seem too good or too bad to be true.
And most importantly, let's be kind to each other online.
Yes.
Let's remember that there are real people behind the screen names, and their feelings matter.
Let's try to create a more compassionate and understanding digital world.
Yes.
One where people feel safe to express themselves without fear of judgment or exploitation.
Well said.
Now, before we move on to the final section of this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to address something that's been lurking in the background in this entire discussion.
Wait, what's that?
The elephant in the room, so to speak,
Okay.
is the tragedy of Andy Jr.
Yeah.
This is a deeply sensitive topic,
It is.
and it's one that the forum users handle with a mix of cruelty and morbid fascination.
That's a heartbreaking story.
It is.
And it's clear that Andy's decision to force his ex-girlfriend to have an abortion
Yeah.
has left a lasting scar on him
Mm-hmm.
and on those who followed the drama unfold.
The forum users, while never explicitly condoning his actions,
Right.
often use this tragedy as further ammunition against him.
Yeah, they mock his grief, question his sincerity,
Yeah.
and accuse him of using the situation for personal gain.
It's a stark reminder that on the internet,
Yeah.
even the most personal tragedies
Right.
can be exploited for entertainment
Right.
or to score points in an ongoing feud.
It highlights the ethical complexities of online discourse.
It does.
Where do we draw the line between free speech and responsible behavior? How do we balance the right to criticize
Yeah.
with the need for empathy and compassion?
These are tough questions.
They are.
And there are no easy answers.
But as we navigate the often treacherous waters of the online world, it's crucial that we engage in these discussions thoughtfully and with sensitivity to the potential impact of our words and actions.
Absolutely. Now, with that in mind,
Okay.
let's move on to the final section of this deep dive,
That sounds good.
where we'll explore the broader implications of Andy Warski's story and what it tells us about the nature of online fame, the dynamics of online communities,
Right.
and the evolving landscape of digital culture.
Sounds good. Let's wrap this up.
It's kind of wild how the forum users managed to find humor in even the darkest aspects of Andy's life.
Yeah, I guess it's a way to cope.
Yeah, it's like a coping mechanism, way to process this absurdity of it all.
Right. You almost have to admire their creativity.
Yeah.
They've come up with some hilarious nicknames and catchphrases
Oh, they're clever.
for Andy.
It's dark humor, for sure, but it's also kind of brilliant.
It is.
You know, it speaks to the power of satire and ridicule
Right.
as tools for social commentary.
They're holding up a mirror to Andy's flaws and failings,
Exactly.
forcing us to confront the ugliness
Yeah.
that often lurks beneath the surface of online celebrity.
And it's not just about Andy, is it?
No, I don't think so.
It's about the whole culture, you know? Like,
Right.
we're all kind of complicit in this.
Yeah. Nope.
The way we're so quick to judge and condemn, the way we revel in the misfortune of others.
It's like a car crash. You can't look away.
Exactly.
It's like they're saying, look at this absurd world we've created where someone like Andy Warski can become a star.
And by laughing at it, they're making a point.
Okay.
You know, it's like a commentary on our values,
Right.
our priorities.
So even in their most vicious mockery, there's a glimmer of social commentary,
Absolutely.
a deeper message about the state of our digital culture.
It's food for thought.
Okay, so we've talked about Andy's feuds, his failures, his fans, his tendency to overshare, the tragedy of Andy Jr.,
Right.
the dark humor that permeates this Kiwi Farms thread.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
It's been a journey,
It has.
but what does it all mean?
Yeah, what's the takeaway?
What have we learned?
What's the takeaway for our listeners?
I think the takeaway is that the internet is a powerful and often unpredictable force.
It really is.
It can amplify our best qualities and our worst impulses.
Yeah.
It can create stars and destroy lives.
Right. It's a double-edged sword.
It's a place where narratives are fluid, reputations are fragile, and the line between reality and performance is constantly blurring.
I like that. Yeah, and it's a place where we all have a responsibility
Yes.
to be more mindful of our actions, more critical of the information we consume,
For sure.
and more compassionate towards those who find themselves caught in the crossfire of online drama.
Let's not forget our humanity.
Right. We need to remember that behind the screen names and avatars, there are real people
With real feelings.
with real feelings.
Yeah. Let's not contribute to a culture of online cruelty and negativity.
Because in the end, the internet is a reflection of ourselves, our values and our choices.
And it's up to each of us to decide what kind of reflection we want to see.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Into the world of Andy Warski.
Yes, and the Kiwi Farms forum that's dedicated to documenting his every misstep.
It's been a wild ride,
It really has.
full of twists, turns, and unexpected insights.
To our listeners, thanks for joining us on this journey
We hope you've learned something new.
about the dynamics of online culture, the complexities of human behavior.
And the importance of critical thinking in the digital age.
And remember,
The internet never forgets.
be mindful of your digital footprint
Be kind to others.
and always stay curious.
And that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.